Welcome in to Bears Weekly, powered by IGS Energy, a Chicago Bears network production. Bears Weekly is brought to you by Advocate Healthcare, Athletico Physical Therapy, CDW, Connie's Pizza, IGS Energy, and Miller Lite. Here are your hosts, Jeff Joniak, a.k.a. the Mayor of Bearsville, and his sidekick, Tom the Surfmaster Thayer.
Pleasant good evening, everybody, and welcome in as the Bears get ready to meet their rivals. The Green Bay Packers meeting 210, the most in NFL history, kicking off Sunday at Soldier Field between the homestanding Bears and the Packers. NFC North Division play open for business, and so are we with Super Bowl winning Bears guard Tom Thayer. I'm Jeff Joniak. Coming up, we visit with veteran safety Elijah Hicks. In the ESPN studio, spinning the dials tonight, Justin Pottinger. Thanks to our producers, Dan Brilli, Jordan Tretta from the Bears, and the executive producer of the Bears Radio Network is Eric Ostrowski. Good evening, Tom. We got lots to discuss.
Big Jeff, what a week to have a week. You know, when you think of everything that's going in this week in terms of the division race and, everything that we've been kind of waiting for this regular season, knowing at the start of the season the division wasn't going to start until the back half of the season. My excitement doesn't wane at all. I'm a little bit angst, and I'm ready for Sunday to get here.
All right, what makes you anxious?
Well, you talk about the number of the games inside this rivalry and how it's been so up and down, and the Packers have been on the upside of this rivalry now for a little while, and it's time for the Bears to get back in control of this rivalry. And I know everything that took place this week up at Hallis Hall, but that doesn't tarnish the fact that the Bears have to come out there and play their best game of the year against a really good football team and get inside this division race.
Yeah, and there is a lot of season left, and no matter what's been going on, once they get between the white lines and all the cliches you want to use, now you just got to man up, play football, and be the best team that day. And sometimes the best team isn't good enough to get the win, but hopefully that'll be the case against the Packers, because a year ago they were 3-6. This year they're 6-3, but they were 3-6 and made it into the second round of the playoffs. There was another team that was 3-6 last year, and now it's escaping me. But so the Bears are in a better shape than that at 4-5, and now they control their own destiny, so to speak, because they got all the games in the division. So they just gotta pull together, pull on the same rope, and get it done.
Well, there may be a lot of talk about the Bears' offense going into this game, but I think the talk should be around the Bears' defense. Because when you look at Jordan Love, and he's got 10 interceptions and 15 touchdown passes, and you see how well this Bears defense has been playing throughout the season, they only gave up 19 points last week. I think that the Bears have an opportunity with the super supportive crowd at home to get back on the track of getting turnovers, getting takeaways, and limiting the opponent's offense to limited amount of success.
Yeah, he did that last year, too. 3 interceptions in the first half of the season, then 1 in the final 9 games of the season, I believe. So, yeah, he's at 10 right now, and that's inviting, and especially when, the Bears had their hands on a couple of potential interceptions last week. They didn't get them. Now's the time. You got to make every play that comes your way. Again, the whole every snap matters thing, but every opportunity to make a big play, you got to make it, either side of the ball. Can't be drop passes, can't be dropped interceptions, can't be a bunch of false starts to put you in down and distance trouble, because now you're just spinning your wheels in mud.
Right. The offense has to play safe brand of football, and that's safe. I mean, making sure they don't have any pre-snap penalties. Make sure they don't have any formation penalties. Make sure everybody's on the same page assignment-wise. And then you talk about the great interception by T.J. Edwards last week. Yeah. And how much that meant to the team, the field position it gave the offense. And then you talked about the possible dropped interceptions. Those are every one of these little things that we talked about, offense, defense, and special teams. They got to come out here and have their best performance of the year.
So the latest injury report, first of all, Montez Sweat back. I did run into him, talked to him briefly this evening, and he says he's feeling a lot better. But, yeah, these little nicks and knacks that happen over the course of a season, it's been something he really hasn't dealt with much in his career, but ankle. But back at practice today, Tevin Jenkins not, and then limited Braxton Jones and Darnell Wright. So
yeah.
that's big news right there. That I assume and I expect those two will be back at tackle.
Well, they got a lot of recovery time until noon kickoff on Sunday, so they have to get as much treatment as they possibly can outside of the practice time, stay off their feet, make sure they're fresh and ready to go on Sunday, because there are two key components of their offensive line that are needed. And when you talk to the return of Ryan Bates, I think it helps the interior of the offensive line. Whatever's going to happen with Tevin Jenkins, Matt Pryor, if Darnell Wright plays, can go back to his offensive guard spot. And when Matt Pryor was playing right guard, he and Darnell Wright were starting to develop a good big guy relationship over there on the right side. And I think that can help this offense tremendously.
So one of the upsetting things is hearing that Jaquan Brisker is on an injured reserve. So he has not been able to return despite the hopes that he would, and that he was there was a whole bunch of concern. But in the end, definite concern, and not able to come back.
I only want him to come back if he's ready and confident to come back. I'm looking out for Jaquan Brisker. I'm not looking out for the Chicago Bears / Jaquan Brisker. I'm looking out for Jaquan Brisker. He's a great young man, and he has to do what everything is reasonably responsible for him and his future, and make the best decision accordingly.
So Thomas Brown will be the play caller. He'll be up in the booth calling the plays for the Bears offense. He's done it before. He did it last year with Carolina. And he met the media on Wednesday of this week. So let's listen in to some of what he had to say about his new role.
George, Kevin, Flus, and also Ryan for giving me the opportunity to lead this offense. I also want to thank Shane Waldron. Kind of gets lost in this transition of how it affects people in their families and their lives. I met Shane back in 2020, first working with the Rams, and he was phenomenal to me and my family to help onboard us coming to the NFL. And so I just want to say thank you to him. But again, it was just eyes up, moving forward, excited about the opportunity. This will not be a one-man show. I'm excited to kind of work and collaborate with our entire staff and our players to fix the problems that we do have. Had a great conversation yesterday with Caleb about my thoughts moving forward, issues to fix, and just had a phenomenal walkthrough. Guys were upbeat, moving around, being really detailed. So excited about practice. Yeah, here's what I say about fixing the problem. So it starts every day we walk in the building. What I said to the team today and to our offensive staff and players is two things you control when you walk in the building. It's your effort and your attitude. So it starts there first, right? How we approach the meetings, being detailed, being locked in, and then transferring that to the actual practice field, being intentional about the walkthrough, but also making practice as hard as humanly possible so the game can somewhat become easier. So to me, that's going to be our focus, what we're locked in on. And so understanding that practice preparation always leads to game day execution. So that's our focus.
Thomas, what's your philosophy on the type of voice you want to be for Caleb during games?
Well, first and foremost, I'm always be myself. So I'm a pretty direct person. That's what I kind of told him yesterday when we spoke for the first time. And I've obviously been around him. I've been in the room the entire time, but just in a different capacity. So, but I think on game day when it comes to how you deliver information, to be solution-oriented, to keep myself calm, also keep him calm as well, to kind of decompress it in every single drive we have, to kind of look forward to what's coming in the next drive.
How do you bring creativity now to this offense?
Well, I think at this point when it comes to where we are in the season, you can't reinvent the wheel. I'm not going to try to do that at all. That'll be kind of set us in a spiral going backwards, in my opinion. But it's about being able to try to find the best ways to be effective with our playmakers, right, to be able to marry what we do from a formation and motion standpoint. Everything to me starts up front, starts with the run game, how we attack, knock it forward mentality, and we build off of that.
Thomas, what do you think your quarterback does well and that you need to emphasize in your scheme offensively?
I think it does a lot well. I think when it comes to just natural ability from throwing the football is, I think, clearly and obvious. I think being able to understand how to get the ball out of his hands as fast as possible when it comes to the concepts we kind of just end up dialing up, but also being able to let him use his natural God-given ability at times when it's relevant. Not every play, but when it comes to especially situational ball, third down, red zone, and come alive with that.
What did you learn from last year? And I know they're not the exact same situation, but what did you learn about coaching up a number one pick and everything that comes with it on the field and off the field and the pressure and all of that you can apply this year?
Yeah, again, I get the question. These are two different players in ability and also mentality-wise. Obviously enjoyed that time I had with Bryce last year. Great dude, great player, but these are different circumstances. But as far as the pressure goes, right, pressure to me is a privilege. That means people expect something positive from you. So I embrace that. Excited about the opportunity that comes with the territory of this job. And honestly, if you don't want that, you probably should do something else.
And so Thomas Brown at the forefront. He'll be analyzed. And overall, just your thought. I like his direct approach. Everybody that I've talked to say the same thing. He tells you up front what he expects of you, and he's very direct.
Well, I like the fact that he says pressure is a privilege, and that is the truth for every single player in any professional sport, because you've earned the opportunity to have pressure thrust upon you in your next step and your next goal. And then he's not here to reinvent the wheel. He's only here to take the offense that they've been inserting since the time he's got here and continue that process and that development for Caleb. He's not bringing in a bunch of new material and ask him to learn it within a 4-day period. This is something that I think that he has an opportunity to just sharpen what they've been doing since they got here in OTAs.
It's the Bears offense. It's the Bears offense.
100%, yeah.
But it's the Bears offense, but it's how and when you call it, what you're setting up for the third quarter that you run in the first quarter. It's how you adjust throughout the course of the game by what you're seeing defensively that is uniquely put together by a defense for the Bears and how they can attack it. And that's the beauty and the internal aspect of things that really will come to light one way or another from any play caller.
And everything you said, that will come to light on Sunday when they're actually in the game. But everything they're doing up until that point, up into Sunday, is they're going out on the practice field and they're running through a practice, and then they're going back into the meeting room, and those are the corrections that Thomas Brown can make for Caleb, or he can accentuate the things that Caleb is doing really well right now.
All right, that's Tom Thayer. I'm Jeff Joniak. When we return, we'll hear from the quarterback coach, Kerry Joseph. The offensive assistants were available to the Bears today at Hallis Hall. We'll get you set for Bears-Packers here on ESPN 1000 and the Bears Radio Network. And welcome back, everybody. This segment of Bears Weekly is brought to you by IGS Energy. Jeff and Tom with you as we get set for Bears-Packers and the change in offensive coordinator making the big news, not only here in Chicago, but around the NFL landscape. This has happened before. It happened last season with Buffalo as they moved to Joe Brady from Ken Dorsey, and it paid dividends. It paid dividends when Jim Caldwell with Baltimore years ago. They went to a Super Bowl. So let's see where it takes us and what it might look like, and more on that now. And we'll get Tom's take on it afterwards. But Bears quarterback coach Kerry Joseph, a part of this plan now as he continues to work with Caleb Williams.
It's rhythm and timing, getting the ball out of our hands, getting into the playmaker's hands. Hey, number one is open, let's get it to him. And we continue to talk about that. And when we do that, now those plays become unsackable because the ball is out of our hands. We just continue to talk about that, continue to talk about putting the eyes in the right place, having an understanding what they're trying to do defensively, and then we can get the ball out, and that's the plan.
He did that well in the Rams game, didn't he?
Oh, man, you really going to do that to me?
I think he did. Back to the Rams game, he, I think, did that very well.
Rams game, he did a great job. Jacksonville. It's not just him. It's just, the course of the game. When you have, we got to be better overall. We got to be able to run the ball. That helps him. We got to be able to do that. We got to be able to stay out of negative plays. So we can't have penalties. All those things, affect the rhythm of the pass game. So it's a whole collective. It's not just Caleb. It's all of us making sure that we stay ahead of the chains.
Just to interpret what you were saying a minute ago, is there a habit for a rookie quarterback to kind of have his head swim a little bit just because you've been through a lot throughout the course of a season and then it's a little bit cloudy?
I don't say his head is swimming. It can happen to any quarterback. If things are not going well, I don't care who you are. You get hit a few times. Your eyes start to speed up a little bit. You start to feel people like you guys are around me, ladies are around me right now. I can see Allie over there, but I can still feel your presence. Yeah. It happens to any quarterback, and it's just how do you reset yourself? All right, how do you reset yourself? Hey, let's go back to the basics. Let's go back to mastering the basics in every concept, every play. That's what we are right now.
What's that fine line with him of you want to protect the football, you don't want him to feel like he can't take chances, and how have you seen him kind of straddle that over the past few weeks?
I just try to always encourage, hey, let's be aggressive. Let's be aggressive, but be smart. Let's be aggressive. Let's be smart. And that's the message that I've started from day one, and I continue to deliver. So now, hey, let's pull the trigger. Let's be smart about it, but be aggressive at the same time.
Thomas said that he's going to be upstairs, so how does that change the sideline communication between you and Caleb?
So basically, me, Thomas, Caleb, we all collaborate together. Hey, we come to the sideline. Chris is there also. Hey, we talk about the last drive. Boom. Then me, as a quarterback coach, get that information to him, as we see the film, what adjustments we want to make, what happened on that last drive. And then also, I'm big at, hey, what did you see? Because from the sideline and behind there, it's different. So I want to hear what he saw so we can all come together and say, okay, look what the picture is showing. Think this way. You got to have that conversation. You got to have that communication. So that's how we plan on working it.
I know people always talk about quarterback development isn't always linear and that sometimes there are jumps. Jordan Love's an example of that last year where his first half wasn't great and the second half was. Do you guys point to that or point to other quarterbacks around the league and go, look what happened to them?
I'm pointing to Caleb Williams and the Chicago Bears. What can we do to make sure that we got him going in the right direction? That's our focus. No disrespect to your question, but hey, because he's different. He's not Jordan, so I don't know what they did with him, but I know where we want to go as an offense, collectively to help all of our guys. Because we have a lot of talent and we got to get everybody involved. So we're putting a plan together for that.
You mentioned Thomas. What's the value of his presence in a week like this and a stretch like this?
Oh, you know what? He's authentic. And I love Shane, and our prayers go up for him and his family. And I've been with him for 4 years. He's done a lot for me in my career. Just Thomas's approach. He's just Thomas is Thomas. He's going to keep it real with you. He's going to be straightforward with you, and he's going to be honest. So you better take it and you roll with it, and you respect it. And like I said, I've been knowing him for a few years now, and he's never changed. So, and I think for him, just taking a step forward and standing in front of the team and say, hey, this is how we're going to roll with it. This is how we're going to get it done, from the meeting rooms to the practice field to the game, and then we're going to do it all over again. That's who he is, and that's how we're going to roll.
Has Caleb been doing too much at the line? Obviously, he's adept enough and smart enough to make a lot of changes to the line, but has it been too much the past few weeks?
No, I wouldn't say that. Caleb is very smart. We just got to help our offense, like I said, to put us in a better situation, and we just got to play better. We just got to play better collectively, and we just got to stay ahead of the chains. NFL, you don't stay ahead of the chains, it's hard. It's hard.
So are you, Vivian, as coaches?
He's making good decisions at the line?
He's making good decisions at the line. We got to help him, and like now, just, hey, let's get the ball out of his hand. Slow his eyes down so he sees things a little bit better. Wants post snap, But at the line of scrimmage, things that we've asked him to do, he's done a great job with it.
1 week's success or two or whatever does not guarantee the next week's success. But even you as coaches, being around a long time, when it's a sudden shift like this, are you even surprised at how quickly things can change?
I'm not surprised. I've been around pro football a long time. I've been through ups and downs. It's every day. Every day you have to win. You have to win every day. You have to have a winning habit. It's the job, it's the profession we chose, and that's the commitment that you have to make. So I'm not surprised about it. Coaches are not surprised about it. Most players are not, because you got to be great every day. Your best is required every day. Plain and simple.
Do you like the mentality of the team at the moment, despite all of this? Can you get a feel for it?
I think this organization, from top down, I think Coach Flus has done a great job of the leadership, and you see how it trickles down because the team is still connected, and it starts from top down. And respect to the top dogs on down, from head coach and the players that have bought into it, and everybody's still connected. Everybody's still believing, and we're gonna show up Sunday and go play some football.
All right, Tom, there's a lot out of his mouth right there. I know you're bobbing your head because we're on Zoom looking at each other. The fans can't see us, but listeners can't see us. But there's a lot of what we've been thinking ourselves.
Well, I think that you could have cut that interview after he answered rhythm and timing. Because, last week on Bears Game Night Live, we gave an illustration about Keenan Allen and his receptions last week, and how quickly the ball was efficiently out of the hand of Caleb Williams. And it wasn't an extended protection by the offensive line. It was rhythm and timing. And so if you include those same types of passes to DJ, to Rome, to Cole, to Gerald Everett, even DeAndre Swift and Roshan Johnson, that include rhythm and timing and you take away all this thinking and the impossible, I think you're going to have a much more efficiently run offense, a much more confident Caleb Williams. And so I think everything there is possible, and it can be done with rhythm and timing.
Yeah, and I also like the approach of win every day. It's not Sunday. It's win every day.
That's being a professional athlete.
Yeah.
It's like, because you change the game plans week in and week out, and you can't be thinking about stuff from the Rams game. You got to be thinking about stuff for the Green Bay game. And then when this game is over, you got to start thinking about stuff for the next game plan. So it is about winning every day. 9
points a game since the bye week, lowest in the NFL over the last 3 games. Caleb, no interceptions. That's big, especially with the Packers, Vikings, and Lions all in the offing here, because they all take the ball away and sack the quarterback. Unfortunately, no touchdowns either, and those 18 sacks, and that all has to get cleared up. And has to start right now with the division getting underway. We'll continue our conversation on the Bears from a defensive perspective. Safety, Elijah Hicks, who has come in for the injured Jaquan Brisker and has done a nice job. And it looks like he'll continue to be in that role for the rest of this season. That's Tom Thayer. I'm Jeff Joniak. This is Bears Weekly on ESPN 1000 and the Bears Radio Network. Segment of Bears Weekly brought to you by CDW. People will get it. Welcome back to Bears Weekly on ESPN 1000 on the Bears Radio Network with Tom Thayer. I'm Jeff Joniak, and our guest this week is Bears safety Elijah Hicks, big number 22, getting ready for the rivalry, getting ready for the Packers. Let's start there, because you've already experienced some of them. Haven't gone the Bears' way just yet, but you're talking about a guy over there on the other side of the screen. Tom's on Zoom with us, that had a lot of success against the Packers in his day, but the rivalry just simmers like good broth. You know, how about for you in your early years?
Yeah, I always love when there's a good rivalry going on. It's an opportunity to, show out for the fans. We know how much it means for them. But on the day-to-day, I think it's important to stick to your process and have a good process. So whether it's a really important game like a rivalry game, or whether it's, Detroit or someone else, we have the same approach. So I think your routine is very important.
You're a Southern California kid. Did you get up for a reason, high school and at Cal? We know what the Cal-Stanford games are like. Did that give you extra oomph?
I would say, you definitely feel the extra vibes and energy throughout the week, especially because of how the fans show out, all the media attention that it gets. So it's always more a physical game when it's a rivalry game. So you definitely got to have your chin strap buckled up and ready to go.
Elijah, Jeff brought up the fact that you went to Cal, but I was looking at the list of colleges that you chose Cal from, and I went to Notre Dame, and I noticed one of them was Notre Dame. What was the difference maker for you to go to Cal? Do you want to stay close to home, or did they was it a better football offering than the other schools?
So I was committed to Notre Dame as well. So that was the first school I was committed to. So I'm not gonna lie. Yeah, I wanted to stay close to home, but Cal was far enough for me to be able to still have that distance. My family's still able to come to games and enjoy them, in the off season and stuff like that. But I was definitely committed to Notre Dame at one point.
Huh. Well, we have some similarities. I grew up in this area, and I went to Notre Dame because it was far enough away, but it was still close to home for my family. And I played a lot of different positions in my college years. When you talk about converting from a corner to a safety, there's not a lot of guys that have the willingness to do that, because it's a different physical approach to the position than playing corner. So when that was introduced to you, were you accepted of it immediately, or did you have to give it some thought?
So one of my good teammates at the time, Cameron Bynum, who is the starting safety for the Vikings, we both were corners at college most of our years. So he got drafted the year before me, and they converted him from corner to safety. And I saw that transition, and I talked to him every day, and I was just listening to him and how that transition was, and he embraced it, and because I seen him go through that process, and we both were very physical corners, so I was like, you know what, I could do it too. I was just fully embraced it. I just want to play at the next level. I'm one of those guys, wherever you need me to be, gonna do my job and I'm gonna embrace it. So that's how I felt about it.
Is the vision of the position the same as a corner? Because you guys are involved in coverage nowadays, but you're also involved in near the line of scrimmage type of linebacker play. So does corner skills transfer to safety skills and make you a better safety because you have the athleticism to play the position in the first place?
I think it definitely helps when it comes to covering tight ends or being flexible to be able to cover tight ends or slots. But safety definitely is a lot more, like I would say, a leadership position where you have to communicate with, linebackers and corners. So you got to be able to, retain a lot of information, be able to be a clear communicator, and you got to really know what the defense is calling and where everyone is, because you got to be the one to help people get lined up.
Elijah Hicks, our guest here on Bears Weekly on ESPN 1000 on the Bears Radio Network. Did that move change your life in many ways? It gave you a different trajectory to be drafted as a safety and to be grown here over the last 3 years. But did that decision change your life?
Yeah, I did, and I think it is a more natural position for me, someone who is, I like to look at myself as someone who's smart player on the field. I like to use my brain to help me be a couple steps ahead. And so being able to use that and anticipate, okay, this tight end's off. He looks like he's going to hawk back. And it's a game within the game. At safety, you could play that a lot more.
Oftentimes, young players, especially undrafted or late rounders, they don't get a lot of chance to get on the field. But Coach Eberflus believes in playing his rookies. And did that benefit you to get in 15 games, no matter how you got in your rookie season, to help grow who you are right now?
Yeah, and I think it's important, like, no matter who you are, whether you're a late round guy or undrafted, to have a good process and have a good work ethic and, show the coaches that you know what you're doing out there and making plays in practice, because really the games are just a glorified practice, more people watching. But when you look at the film, and they're just doing the same thing that we do throughout the week.
So Kevin Byard has got a world of experience, and you think about the different things that he's gone through, the different quarterbacks and offenses and everything he's faced. Do you ever pick his brain about maybe what he's thinking while you're watching tape of the next opponent, or what you're seeing in the middle of a game, or just take advantage of, all of his experiences?
1,000%. He has so much information. He's been through it a lot. One of my favorite questions to ask him at the beginning of the week is like, what you see from these guys? What are you going into this game thinking about based off the film you watched? And he shares that with me, and I usually share that with him. And I always like how his mindset when it comes to approaching the game.
The Bears have had great weather conditions throughout this season. The field this past Sunday was as perfect as you can get in November. So as I was watching the Detroit Green Bay tape, I was kind of taking into account the conditions that they were playing in because it was so rainy and the field was so wet. Do you have to kind of find yourself watching a game that has better field conditions to understand what their offense is capable of being? Because as an ex-offensive lineman, I kind of look at the defense and what you're doing on offense, but what they're offering you on defense.
Yeah, that plays into it plays a part in it. But I think at the end of the day, like when I was watching that game, the score was a big score difference, and so you got to see, what do they like to do when they got to pass situations. So you get a good understanding of the play caller. How the guys run their routes, even the mindset of the guys when they're down. So you still could get a lot out of it, regardless of, I think, the weather conditions. Yeah.
Elijah Hicks, our guest here on ESPN 1000 on the Bears Radio Network. That secondary has been loud since the season began. I always felt that it was the heartbeat of the team. Honestly, you guys are deep. Everybody can play in that secondary, and Reddy Stewart. I got to make it the proper pronunciation there. Terrell Smith, you got Tarvarius, Jalen Jones, Josh Blackwell, yourself. Have you given you guys behind closed doors? Do you guys have a name for yourselves? Have you labeled the unit?
Well, yeah, actually have not. But we're really big on communicating our goals, and we're really big on understanding, like, we want to be the best. And so regardless of what your role is and whether it's on special teams or defense, it's like when you out there, when this secondary is on the field, we need to show out, and we all support each other in that, and we always talking about being the best every day.
What is your analysis of the Packers right now?
Yeah, I think their offense, they come from the Rams tree, so we see a lot of similarities on film now. And they have some, talented guys at receiver. They got some speed guys. They got decent running backs. So it's exciting for a secondary like us who, last couple of weeks we haven't saw, too many deep receiving cores. And so this is an opportunity for us to, show what we can do. We could have a stamp on the game, hopefully get a lot of turnovers. That's always on our mind. So the ball's going to be in the air. We see the stats of how many turnovers the quarterback has had, within the 6 games he's played fully. So we're excited about that, and we just want to get our hands on the ball.
Yeah, set your GPS to ball hawk mode this weekend.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah, we know how important that is when you get the ball and how it correlates to wins. So.
It's crazy, Elijah. When you think of the beginning of the season, you look at that 17-game stretch and you go, wow, this is, a 4 or 5 month road that we're on. And you think of where you're at now and how many division games you have left. It's almost like kind of re-energizing the excitement for you guys, knowing that everything that you can accomplish is still ahead of you with all the division games, starting with Green Bay on Sunday. So that's got to be an exciting added element to your season. In my 40 years as a broadcaster and player, I've never been through it like this. So how do you feel about that part?
It feels good knowing that, we've took some L's, but we got this division ahead of us, and we're fully capable of, making plays and getting these wins. So it's going to be important to just, come together and take it 1 week at a time.
All right, last thing. I know you started a Intercept Poverty Foundation back in college, which is amazing that you had the foresight and the desire to do that. You came from humble beginnings. It wasn't easy, and you're just wanting to give back. Is that still up and running? Do you do stuff here in Chicago? And why is giving back so important to you? The man that it built probably is why the answer is.
Yeah, I went through a lot growing up. I had a great family. My mom and dad, they were always helping me in school, helping at field trips. My dad was giving back to a lot of kids on my youth football team, whether they didn't have somewhere to sleep or they needed extra shoes and stuff. Even though we didn't have a lot, I seen my dad and my mom giving back to people in need. So during COVID is when I started Intercept Poverty Foundation, and I was just trying to help, a lot of people struggling and who could use a couple extra dollars for food. So I took my matter into my own hands and got people around me who could help me create it. And, we was able to raise a lot of money, over like close to $70,000, almost $100,000 worth of food and emergency grants for students in need at Cal Berkeley.
Wow.
We still doing things in the community. We're rebranding and stuff like that, but stay tuned.
I like it.
Helping the community, yeah.
Nice. You're a great dude, great football player. Enjoy the conversation, and it's been too long since we got together and got you on our show. So appreciate your time. Good luck this weekend.
Appreciate it.
That's Bears safety Elijah Hicks. Tom and I return with a preview of the Packers next on ESPN 1000 and the Bears Radio Network. Have a new or gently used coat laying around? Well, head to your local Jewel Osco until February 10th and donate one of your new or gently used coats to the 36th annual Chicago Bears Coat Drive. Help keep Chicagoans warm this winter. Oh, it's going to be toasty at Soldier Field on Sunday for Bears-Packers. What a matchup as they come to town, as the Bears are getting them off the bye week. Tom, they are 0 in their last 3 off the bye week, the Packers. I don't know if you care about those statistics.
No.
On the road, I should say. On the road.
Well, I know it's 59 degrees for a high on Sunday, so I'm excited about the great conditions at this part of the NFL football season. And I expect the crowd to be in a fury, just to be excited about the opportunity of being there, being loud and trying to make their offense as dysfunctional as possible, and trying to get on the bandwagon of the Bears offense and see what changes Thomas Brown is going to bring. talk about timing and efficiency, and that's what I think everybody wants to see out of Caleb Williams.
And defense will be a major discussion point about the run game because the Packers are going to run the football. More on that now from Coach Washington, the Bears defensive coordinator.
Our guys are excited. We've had a couple of really good days of preparation. They're focused, and I'm looking forward to what we'll do.
You talk about Jacobs looking different than last year. How does that show up to you, and what do you account for?
Just the change of direction and the quickness. Very shifty. The burst is there. The confidence is there. And so I think the last couple of years, I think he was finding his way back, finding his footing. But now we're seeing the all-pro, Pro Bowl caliber player that we've seen from him previously. The confidence is there. He's very quick, hitting the holes downhill, physical. I mean, he's not looking to avoid anyone. So it's what we've seen previous to the injury that he incurred.
You guys are preparing for Jordan Love, but how impressive was what the Packers were able to do running the football without him at the beginning of the season, and just their ability to go almost one-dimensional and have success with it?
Well, they've got two runners behind him that are almost identical. They're clones, if you will. Same type of traits and makeup, strong players, downhill runners. And so he's a bonus with what he can do. He's a Pro Bowl caliber player, but they've really stocked that position with runners who can replicate what they like to do with their rushing attack.
Eric, with Jaden Reed, what are some of the things that he does that stresses you guys on Sunday?
Who?
Reed.
Just an unbelievable target, really good target, a really good catch radius. And the one thing about all of these skill players is their tenacity and ability to block at the point of attack and away from the point of attack. And so he's no different. We just have to do a really good job of getting off blocks and just making sure that we control their passing attack.
Is there a challenge in keeping your players on the defensive side focused and locked in with everything else that's gone on in the building in the last 72 hours?
No. And one of the things that I've been consistent in terms of describing the men that I work with is their character. And that doesn't just show up when everything is going well. It shows up in times when things aren't going exactly the way you need them to. And I've gotten to know that and I've really gotten to a point where I can appreciate that, going all the way back to the point when we first started working together.
But you were in a situation last year in Buffalo where there was a midseason coordinator change on the other side of the ball. What did you observe about how that changed things for that group, their offense, the team as a whole, when you went through that last year?
Yeah, what I observed is that, one of the things that I had to do as a coach on that staff in that situation is just make sure that I kept the guys, our players focused, our staff focused, and that we continue to reach for a higher performance, a higher level of performance and execution. And that's what we did then, and that's what we'll continue to do now. Steady steering the ship. Coach Eric Washington, Tommy says the right thing every week. He is never takes a thing for granted, always worried about what's next and what has to be done, and states the objectives quite clearly.
Right. You listen, every one of these guys have to think about their own responsibility, what type of technique and fundamentals they're going to use once the ball is snapped. There's no lingering thoughts in the back of their mind of what this team has been going through in the last couple weeks or even this week. It's about the defensive linemen trying to earn their helmets over the line of scrimmage so they control the Packers' running game. And then when the Packers decide to throw the ball, they got to get their pass rushers into the area of Jordan Love. So that's the basics of what the Bears defense has been doing early in the season, and that's what they have to continue to do at this stage of the season.
That Jaden Reed he's an explosive dude.
Yeah, he is. He kind of burst on the scene when Watson has been injured so frequently that somebody else had to step up to the plate. And, you got to step up to the plate while you're introducing a new quarterback to the system. So it's kind of these two guys have grown together. It's not like there's a big separation in NFL time of performance between them.
And what's your opinion of the tight end Kraft?
He's got 5 touchdowns. He's their go-to guy. He can make a big catch for 4 yards and turn it into 14 yards. I think there's a lot of similarities between what he and Cole are capable of doing for their offense. But when he was drafted last year, he was brought into the mix to kind of bring that next tight end that they've been missing for a couple years inside that offense.
Yeah, drafted a couple of Musgrave too. Musgrave, he's injured. Yeah.
But again, that tight end position, they had been missing that for a couple seasons, and so they've been really to grow and develop into this offense.
One nugget before the break, lowest passer rating allowed by corners this season. She should not surprise anybody. According to Next Gen Stats, the NFL Stats Service, it's Jalen Johnson with a 41.8 rating. He has not given up a touchdown pass this year and continues to be a lockdown. He'll need to be on Sunday against the Packers. Our final segment coming up next here on Bears Weekly on ESPN 1000 of the Bears Radio Network. This segment of Bears Weekly brought to you by Athletico Physical Therapy. Visit athletico.com to request an in-clinic or virtual appointment and start feeling better tomorrow. Jeff and Tom at our final moments here on Bears Weekly ahead of the division opener, almost like a brand new season getting underway. Tom, I know that sounds ridiculous. And speaking of ridiculous, Devin Hester gets his Pro Football Hall of Fame ring at halftime, so I'll head out there and do what you did for your good buddy and teammate Steve McMichael. So that'll be a buzz in the stadium, but am I off? Does it feel like a fresh slate here, ready to begin a new season? Kind of, a little bit.
For so many reasons, for the coaching change that they had earlier this week, for the fact that this is the opening of the division games that the Bears fans have been waiting for since the season started. They've showed some displays that they can play good offensive football and good defensive football, but now it's the time of the year where Thomas Brown has to help them put it all together. And so I'm excited for what's going to happen on Sunday.
Yeah, a couple key things. A couple guys you got to block, as always, right? You can't stop talking about Kenny Clark, who does not have a sack this year, or Rashawn Gary, who leads them in pressures with 28. Keep the ball away from Xavier McKinney. Jair Alexander could be a pain at the cornerback position. And Keyshawn Nixon, who's their nickel, is an excellent return man. So can't let him hurt you either.
Yeah, all those are key components of the Green Bay Packers, but I want to see the key components of the Chicago Bears light up the scoreboard and light up the defensive part of the field.
All right, Tom, see you at noon. 12:02, the kickoff. Bears and Packers right here on ESPN 1000. That's going to do it for us. Thanks to our guest, Elijah Hicks, and all our producers. Bleck and Abdallah are next. Have a great night, everybody.